Hi, I'm Nicole in the lovely land of Hawaii, and today I'm going to talk about the shape of space. Geometry, to use a dog analogy, would be the shape of a dog. So it's the general outline. You can basically tell what it is regardless of the details. Now the topology would be the fur, the ears, the texture on the dog. It's like the surface of the shape. 2 dimensions is almost like a surface. So we'd have this plane with grid lines running over it in the x and y directions. You can think of it as a piece of cloth or a trampoline. So if it's a trampoline, imagine putting a weight on it, say a toddler. Whatever weight you put on it, and if the toddler's jumping on it especially, it's going to sag downwards where the weight is. Space behaves the same way. And in 3 dimensions, just imagine a 3-dimensional grid. Any mass that's in the grid is actually going to warp the grid lines, as if it was a 2D surface, but in 3 dimensions, instead of sagging down, it'll actually pull everything inwards. We don't exactly know why this is, but we can observe it, so we know it's true. How do we observe it? It's gravity. It's basically the topology of the universe. Now that was the easy part. There's also, but believe it or not, a geometry to the universe, or at least that's what we like to believe. We can't really prove anything about the overall shape of the universe. It's not like we can zoom out and see it. But scientists like to side with a couple different shapes that are good candidates for the overall shape of the universe. There's something called a Euclidean plane, which is kind of boring. It's just basically a flat plane. It extends onto infinity, has no edges. So if you were to go in a spaceship and fly off into space, you would go on forever and ever and ever, constantly being in new space, but you would eventually die and never see the end of it, because there is no end. Kind of sad. The second good candidate for the shape of space as a whole is a spherical shape. If the entire universe is shaped like a sphere, then it would actually be contained, but edgeless at the same time, because if you think about it, a sphere doesn't actually have any edges, it's just curved. So if you were to go in a spaceship and travel long enough, in a straight line, you'd actually end up going around the curve and ending up at your original point. Just like if you were to take a trip around the Earth, you'd eventually end up where you started. Pretty cool. And that's not the end of it. My personal favorite shape is the torus. Why? Because it's basically a bona fide donut. And who wouldn't want to live in a donut universe? So the takeaway from this, the universe could be shaped like a dog, or a trampoline, or there's always a donut.